I'm not convinced I know how to read. I've just memorized a lot of words.
The first rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club.
True. All life ends in death, which we, as a species, are cursed with knowing, resulting in something. Again, this is really not my field.
It's the Al Travis Show. We call it Clean Up at Aisle 9, or Yeah, But. It's with Senator Susan Kent. We get down and dirty. I was playing with you for the first half an hour, but now we get down. I use this with, I don't know if you listen to the show ahead of time. Senator Putnam.
Birthday week, come on now.
See, are you one? I would even put past, you're an only child, so I believe you have a birthday month. I think November is your birthday month. You would be that person. You said week, like it's a stretch. Well, you would like it to work that way.
I said week. I'm just using that to.
Okay, well, here's the thing.
Because so I'm an only child and I'm good at maneuvering.
Yeah. Manipulation, I think they call that. Senator Putnam, I came up with my list, and I'm going to throw it at you in the same way I did him, because when I have a duh moment, when I read something, I'm like, well, duh, that only makes sense. Then I know my conservative hackles are up, and you might absolutely think I'm wrong 100%. I need your opinion on why. But when I say this, I think you're going to agree with me. This is why I want you to clarify. So the Epstein files were voted on, and they are going to be released. The House and the Senate, I think there's one guy abstained out of all of them. I mean, it's just done.
He's a special case from my home state of Louisiana. Everybody, all Republicans are like, yeah, it doesn't count.
Yeah, and so my point is, you're never going to have this, you don't get this any other time.
Right.
Now, that being said, I don't know, 8-10 years, however long the Epstein file's been around, and I'd have to go look it up. What I don't understand, and this is the yeah, but for Al, throw it out. I want to see it. I want to know who's in it. And if you're I bought groceries once, stood them in line. If that's it, I'll let you go. But I want to find out who was a part of this scumball's life. And we'll see, that's where we're agreeing. How it took this long to get here, I don't know. I think the rest of us have to take a breath.
I have some information on that. So, yeah.
Well, we need to take a breath. Every name that's thrown out there, I mean, this guy was trying to raise money, and I put some famous person out there. I asked him for money. Doesn't mean they did anything wrong. But we should look. We should look at all this crap, because if you are part of this, I want you out. And if that means 65 senators have to be fired and reelected, that would suck. But I'm okay with it. I'm not saying any of them did, but you get my point. Here's where I'm at on this. Are you with me on it? See, that's why this is the duh, but now you're going to tell me why. My point is, I'm glad it's there, and I think everyone, except those on the list, should probably be pretty happy this is happening.
Yeah.
So we're agreeing.
And what I think is so good about this is, yes, and I get the question about, people have raised the question, like, why is it now just being foisted in the second administration of the Trump administration?
Trump administration, yeah.
And which is, I think, a completely legitimate question. But what is interesting is, and this is where it's interesting to see what he's doing and how he and his Department of Justice, his Attorney General, his FBI director are responding to this. Okay. But everybody needs to, because this whole question of when there's an open investigation, prosecutors, and this is true at city, county, state levels, including the American Department of Justice, you don't hand out your evidence in a file publicly while you're trying to prosecute, because you limit your ability to effectively.
But how long has Epstein been dead?
So but it's not just Epstein. Here's the thing, right? Because the reason and let's remember that when Trump was it was the first Trump administration, that's when Epstein was arrested, and when he died in jail under whatever circumstances, so obviously his prosecution stopped at that point, and that was in 2019. So then when Biden took office in 2021, they were still prosecuting Ghislaine Maxwell. And so she was prosecuted during the Biden administration, and then she had her appeals, and her appeals didn't run out until several months ago during the Trump.
But that's kind of the same thing like with the Kennedy shooting, right? We just don't get all the answers all the time, because somebody could. At some point, we got to just say, I want to know who the bad guys are.
Yeah,
and I'm okay.
We're here. And I mean, there's a lot of. a lot of people have rightly complained about the fact that stuff got held back and the reality in that case is, I think my understanding interpretation of it is that federal agencies like the CIA
would look bad.
We're trying to keep their reputation intact. So that was the Kennedy thing. But
I think this is where you and I agree. I don't care about anybody's reputation. Right. I agree. And okay, so it's out, and you and I agree, which is great.
And let me say this. Larry Summers, a lot of us, the Democrats, have thought Larry Summers was a creep for a lot of years. And emails that came out last week, it's like, well, not altogether surprised by what we're hearing from Larry
And again,
Summers.
if that makes people have to quit their jobs and stuff, good. Go get out of here. I'm good.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. People keep trying to say, and this is where I'm frustrated with Trump, is he's trying to make this partisan. And he's saying we're gonna investigate the Democrats. It's like, no, we shouldn't be. If there are people that need to be. But here's my question: why did Pam Bondi have an event and say we're going to release the files, and then a few months later, after they'd had a chance to look at them, suddenly, we've looked at them.
Well, it might have been all you said. Well, we're going to wait until this whole appeals thing is done. I don't know.
No.
You're never going to give me the next subject. Okay.
But she said, there's not. We've looked through the files and there's nothing to investigate. There are no charges to press. So in that moment, then it's like, okay, then you should release them.
Yeah.
And now
we get to see them now.
Why a few months later, after Donald Trump tweets,
you got your conspiracy hat on. Okay, we'll find out.
Suddenly, we can't. We have an investigation, and we might not be able to release them. That's the question.
Yeah. Okay. Now the other one. This Yaha thing. So over the weekend, whatever it was, my aha moment where
gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
And I want to know if you're going to agree with me on this. So over the weekend, they reported that the government asked for all the states to hand over their SNAP data. If you're getting SNAP, and we want it. Again, red, blue states all get on their side, and red states sent it in, and blue states didn't send it in. Okay. So when they audited that, they found like 187,000 this is in red states, people that are either dead or double dipping in the SNAP program. So they extrapolate the numbers out, and they figure there could be 500,000 people that might be doing the same thing if blue states are like red states when it comes to this. President comes out to fix this, says, I think what we're going to do is have everybody come in and re-up. You have to reapply, and we'll then know who's dead and who's not, and this will help. And some people got very upset. And I brought it up on the show on Monday and said, hey, if the least you got to do to get free money and help from us is let us know you're here, I don't have a problem with it. I find it hard to believe that we don't do it every year. And by the way, I found out a person called me from Minnesota saying in Minnesota, you do up every year. Now, since COVID, they're allowed to do it via the phone. I don't really give a crap, but they do in Minnesota, but it isn't the same in other states. You said I was in other states. Right. Other states, it's not. So this is being positive in Minnesota. And again, I will say out loud, I want people who need help to get SNAP. This is not an anti-SNAP thing.
Yep.
But I have to get new tabs in my car every year for the 3 cars. I got to get my license every 4 years. If I want to go hunting deer, I got to go in every year and apply.
Yep.
If the cost of doing that is you got to go in, I think that's okay. And you're shaking your head yes, like we might agree again. That is
so here's my take on there's a couple things here that I'm thinking about in this. And I have not studied this particular news update to the level of detail you have. So I'm just claiming that.
I throw it out.
But in principle, right, if the federal government is going to offer these programs to the states, I think the federal government is well within their rights to set some expectations that yes, you have to, these people have to reconfirm once a year or whatever it is. Yeah. Now that is a little different because this is the same thing we're seeing with Medicaid about saying you have to reapply, because those might be a whole bunch of extra hoops and all that sort of stuff. And so my suspicions, because I'm really frustrated that the Trump administration worked real hard and fought hard against court orders to open up the SNAP benefits during the shutdown, right? They're working really hard to stop giving money to SNAP recipients, right? So that is what makes me nervous, is that if they're putting in like a big hurdle for an application that wasn't already there, is there motive to really check, or is there motive to try to get a bunch of people off? And
again, I can see where it comes from. I would give you that. I would say, though, the idea that And it said, and I'm glad he paid the Army. When he got the money, wherever they found it, I was happy for it. I'm going to say that. But here's my point is, if the government shut down, it's shut down. If it's not, it's not. If we shut it all down, can't find money here to pay the people I like. I can't find the money to not pay the bill. If we really shut it down, including, I throw this out, House and Senate members should not get paid when their immediate assistant isn't getting paid. You know what? I think we'd have less shutdowns. Just me throwing it out there, because you find ways of helping those you like. I don't like that.
When one of the parties just really indicates that they're not interested in negotiating, that's not okay. Okay.
But it's negotiating, but we did it, and we're going to negotiate again January 30th. We can talk about that. We'll have time between now and then. I've got to go to break. On the other side, it's basically the same thought. Why is it harder for the good guy? I'm pointing at me for radio people. The good guys of the world. Why is it so much? We do so much more to make it hard for me to be good, so I can trip up, than the bad guys. We're going to talk about. You see, I love when you look at me like where's this kid? I will give this. I give this. I want to go hunting. I must apply once a year to get my hunter license. I've got my card tabs I got to get every year. I got some of this could be auto renew. Al, until you get something on your license, you keep, but we don't. We make me go do that. On the other side, and then I'll leave it, we'll go to the break and I'll talk about it. On the other side, this guy, a new guy from the Housing Stability Services Company, name doesn't matter, 26-year-old kid, pled guilty to $2.7 million in fraud to that system, never having done anything to help someone get what they wanted. How can a guy get $2.7 million and have to do less than Al's got to do to get a license to go fishing? We'll talk about that on this. It's harder to be the good guy than it is to be the bad guy. And we'll talk about that after this. She's kind of shaking her head, but I'm not sure if it's Al, you're a nut job, or Al, I agree. We'll find out after this.
You need a friend at the Capitol who knows how to get things done.
And you're in luck, because that's exactly who we are, your friends at the Capitol, and we deliver results.
At Momentum Advocacy, we bring decades of experience in lobbying, public affairs, and crisis communications.
From local nonprofits to national corporations, we help you move policy, manage your media, and make your voice heard.
We're not just seasoned pros, we're essential partners.
Momentum Advocacy, your friends at the Capitol. Learn more at momentum-advocacy.com.
Tired of one-sided media and divisive noise drowning out your conservative values? Take back the conversation with Braver Angels. Join a grassroots movement to restore civility and find common ground without compromising your principles. As a conservative, your voice matters. Share your perspective on issues like immigration and public health in Red Blue workshops and help rebuild trust in our great nation. Be a leader in depolarizing America. Sign up for free at mn.braverangels.org. Braver Angels, where conservatives, liberals, and independents unite for a stronger republic.
A as in alligator. L also in alligator. But it's not alligator. It's the Al Travis Show.
Spent the entire time trying to read Senator Kent's face. Still don't know if she's with me or against me on this, so let me frame it. You can have the 5 minutes. So I get tabs on my car, and you get the little red one that says you get through November, whatever the date is on there. And I believe, and this is not legal advice, by the way, I think you get 10 days into November, then you can get a ticket, and some cop's going to pull you over and say, you got, and boom, here's your fine. These people will find you if you don't have that little tab on the back of a car every year. But Bob over here can just sign up for human services stuff, get $2.7 million at 26 years old. At 26, I was out chasing skirts, trying to play a little softball on the side and trying to get through the workday. I wasn't coming up with $2.7 billion scams. That it shouldn't be this easy. Why is it so hard to be the good guy and so flippin' easy to be the bad guy? Your thoughts. You're shaking your head again. I don't get it.
Well, I mean, it's funny you bring up the license tabs and stuff, because like I worked on the issue of uninsured motorists, for example. And so all that stuff about vehicle registration and driver's licenses and all that stuff, there are a lot of ancillary things that go with that. And that is a system that has been in place forever. And people know how to kind of manage it and evolve it with new technology and stuff, right? And so, these programs, for better or for worse, some of this stuff came up during COVID, some of these food programs and all that sort of stuff. And then the opportunity was, so when things are new, that's where you have to work the kinks out. Right. And so, we all have memories of instances where people in hindsight say, oh yeah, it would have been good if we would have seen that in advance, and it's just a problem, and everybody needs to be better. And as we've discussed, fraudsters are highly motivated and innovative. I mean, they come up with creative stuff, and we need to make sure that we have process, because what I think everybody is realizing in some of these different types of programming is there should be like a set process, for reviewing,
verification,
screening, all that sort of stuff. And then to your point that, we need to have follow-up and check-ins and all that sort of stuff before, if there is anything bad going on, that so you get like a probationary acceptance, and then
but the process is sort of the problem here. The other story this week, and I'll throw out Minnesota legislative auditor came out. They got 4 more programs they're going to look into: the autism program, nursing home care, and Department of Human Services Office of Inspector. They have 4 more. Go the 7th that they have. And I love that. That's great.
Right.
But as we've kind of proven a month ago, even if we do those reports, we're not following them. There's no have to follow them. It was brought up at the committee chairs. We didn't even give them the hearing because, you know what? We don't want to waste our time. I want to waste our time. If I'm paying the OLA to tell you how to do something better, I want to know next year whether we did something better or not. And we don't have that follow-up, which drives me nuts. This kid is not a rocket scientist, and he got $2.7 million from us. We should have state troopers that check on all these things.
Same thing, the OLA is an incredible resource and asset for the state, no doubt. We have learned so much from them, but I've seen both parties pick and choose.
You didn't say me pick a party. I didn't pick a party. I want my yes, I agree.
Right. So it's like, and sometimes, some of the stuff that the auditor does, it's housekeeping. Some of the stuff is bigger systemic stuff. Some of the stuff, and believe me, I went through this with teacher licensing. Oh my God, that was like such an ordeal, because that was a problem that over decades had been turned into a spaghetti mess, and the OLA tried to help undo it, and we legislated our best to try to fix it, and then we had to come back and do some more fixes because our fixes didn't quite get all the pieces. It's an ongoing challenge, and it's just, hopefully everybody in good faith is continuing to try to do the work, but those are the hard ones.
I believe they are, but I think we're letting way too much fall. Back to how do we fix some of this stuff? We see the same issue in a lot of programs. You can just send in a name, doesn't have to be a verifiable human even.
Right.
We'll send a check first and look later. That seems backwards to a guy like me who's not a smart man, but I got to go. We're out of time. I love having you on. Appreciate you being here. And I think we agreed more than disagreed today, which is
next
weird.
Week we should talk about corruption in our federal government. So that'd be good.
I'll come up with a list of what you people have done wrong. No, I'm just kidding. Appreciate you. We'll get you back here next week. She's Senator Susan Kent.